Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from Red State dated March 1st, and it's yet another MSNBC going off the rails sort of thing, and, well, what else do you expect from that network? It says, the article title is Leftist Elie Mystal, who you'll see who he is in a second. You'll probably recognize him as soon as you see him. It says, until we stop the Supreme Court, we will keep losing rights. Yeah, that's not how things work there, buddy. So here's Elie Mystal, who is as you can tell, he plays a clown, because he is a freaking clown. Says on Wednesday, leftist activist Elie Mystal appeared on MSNBC and he made some pretty shocking statements about the Supreme Court. His comments merit some unpacking. Yes, it's the court doesn't do what we want them to do, then they should be dissolved. Now, if the roles were switched on the Supreme Court and they did everything these leftists wanted, they wouldn't be saying this at all. And the way I feel about it is either, like, what is it that they always say? That the court is illegitimate. So it's like, it can't just be illegitimate when they make decisions you don't like. It either always is or always isn't. There's only one of the two options. Okay, it's not just I like that decision, everything's good. Oh, they made a decision I don't like. Oh, the court needs to be destroyed. Yeah, it's not how things work, you absolute spoon. So it says, Mystal, it should be noted, is not only a regular on MSNBC, but also writes for The Nation, a leftist publication whose editorial staff look down their noses at Vladimir Lenin as a bit of a right-winger. On Wednesday, he said, quote, what it say is that they are a corrupted political, this is not English. It says, what it say is that they are a corrupted political actors who act in bad faith. The reason why the people like Mark, the people like Dahlia seem to have a crystal ball is because they are real, because they are realists. They understand the court for what it is. Okay, so that's just a bunch of word salad, and I have no idea who Mark and Dahlia are. Maybe their previous guests on here, but okay, so that quote kind of is just like, I don't know what that's even referring to, and again, that's just word salad. Apparently, he got his talking lessons from a certain vice president of ours. So back to the quote. It says, at some point, people in the media, people at home, and people have to stop pretending that the Supreme Court is some benign, trying to do its best institution and realize that there are 6 Republicans, not conservatives, Republicans on the Supreme Court who view it as their job to help the Republican Party. I'm going to stop the quote there and say that this is why this dude is a clown, because that's not what the point of being a Supreme Court is. Now, if you go look at Supreme Court voting records in terms of, all the decisions that they've made, you're going to see that the Supreme Court justices that appear on the left side of the political spectrum tend to not really change their opinions that whole much and usually vote for the opinion on the left side of the political spectrum, whereas if you look at the right-leaning justices that have been on courts throughout time, they tend to vote kind of everywhere, to be honest with you, because they're the ones that are trying to uphold the Constitution. Okay, so these people on the Supreme Court that he's referring to, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, so on and so forth. Even John Roberts, I guess he's putting in there as well, who's like kind of a center-right person. They're not considered Republicans or conservatives because that's not the job of the court. The job of the court is just to adjudicate the decision based on the law. Okay, and there you go. So it's like, for him to be like, oh, these are people that are Republican nominated, that must mean they're Republican. No, that means they're probably going to do the job correctly. But anyway, back to the quote. It says, until we do something about that, until we take away that power, until we draw the line on them there, they will continue to do this. Do what? Like, again, I don't know what the hell this man is referring to. There's nothing here that says what he's even talking about. Anyway, back to the quote again. It says, they will help Trump. They will take away abortion rights. Oh, here we go. They will end affirmative action. They will liberalize gun rights. They will do all of it. Okay, so I'm stopping there again. Okay, they didn't take away abortion rights. They just relegated it back to the state. You know that if you were paying attention. They will end affirmative action. No, affirmative action isn't of itself a racist, discriminatory thing. I personally understand why it was made into a law. I totally get that. But in the end, it's discriminating against people based on their race. So it should be ended. Okay, that's what we're trying to get rid of in this country is racism, and this is the guy who wants to uphold racism. They will liberalize gun rights. I haven't really been following the gun stuff a lot, but as far as I'm concerned, well, every gun law is an infraction on the law itself, or shall not be infringed. That's the word I'm looking for. It's an infringement on the law, not an infraction. Okay, so back to the quote, because you can tell already, like, this guy just has no idea what he's talking about. He's living in a fantasy world. So back to the quote. It says, until we stop them, somebody needs to start listening in the higher echelons of the Democrat Party, because we will keep losing every day if we allow these 6 Republicans in robes to rule over us. Okay. End quote. No one's ruling over you, you clown. Okay. And what is your somebody needs to stop them? What are you talking about there? Say, you notice that all these leftists, they need to be violent, and they need to talk in violent terms. Okay, we've already seen some of these Supreme Court justices being harassed at their houses, which should not happen, and it's actually against the law to do that to, I think, any judge or justice in this case. Much less like, or I should say, let me go back. You can't do that, but the folks that did it weren't actually prosecuted by the DOJ because Merrick Garland is a corrupt hack. But let's just keep going on with this. I'm kind of just blabbering. It says, we're accustomed, of course, to seeing radical leftists, complain about the Supreme Court. Yes, we are. It says, call us to slack the court with leftists, or stack. Why did I say slack? Reading is not easy for me on this article. It says, calls to stack the court with leftist activists, but I repeat myself, justices are heard almost daily, and it is leftists that call for the stacking in every case I'm aware of. Indeed, the radical left seems to never miss an opportunity to overturn accepted norms and practices in society and government. In fact, it is their raison d'etre. I don't remember what that translates to from French, but there you go, or reason for being, maybe. But yeah, that's 100% correct. It says, if it was worthwhile to question Elie Mystal, and it is seldom worth questioning someone who is this badly divorced from reality, as I was saying, so it would be interesting to see what rights he thinks we have lost due to recent Supreme Court decisions. And the answer to that is nothing, literally nothing. It says he's almost certainly talking about the overturn of Roe versus Wade, which decision wasn't really about abortion so much as it was about the Constitution and the proper roles of the states and the federal government. Mystal, I would bet, has never read the Dobbs decision, and likely has very little idea of what the decision actually says. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. It says, what other decisions could Elie Mystal have in mind? And the Bruen decision, which I believe is the gun one that he might be referring to, was actually preserved, yep, it is, so which actually preserved our Second Amendment rights, has been the subject of much complaining from the left ever since. It says, while these are valid questions and ones that Mystal won't answer, and I'll even go as far as saying can't answer, the major concern I have is with this statement. He says, until we do something about that, until we take away that power, until we draw the line on them there, they will continue to do this. Because what is he proposing here, which was basically my question? How can one take away the power of the Supreme Court, the power vested in them by the Constitution? Granted, the left, of which Elie Mystal is an extreme example, regards the Constitution as, at most, a few broad guidelines, and at worst, some ancient document written by old white men who were probably slave owners. And I'm sure that's exactly what his mindset is about the Constitution. So let's consider this, though. If Donald Trump, or indeed any Republican, went on any broadcast and advocated for taking away the power of the Supreme Court, imagine the outcry from the legacy media and Democrats, but I repeat myself, and I would say the outcry from Elie Mystal would suddenly come out and be like, wait, how could he say that? Even though he's said the same thing, I guarantee you that would happen. I'd like Trump, just for shits and giggles, to be like, oh, hey, you know what we're going to do? And then say he's going to take away the power of the Supreme Court. And then I'd like to see Elie Mystal be like, wait, oh my God, yes, we need to do that. It's like, or knowing him with the Trump thing, the TDS I'm talking about, he'd probably be like, oh, wait, no, we can't do that anymore. How dare he destroy this group of people. But anyway, whatever. It says, but when a radical leftist like Elie Mystal advocates for essentially tossing the Constitution in a dumpster, crickets. Again, very good article here. Makes total sense. And, this dude, he's a clown and shouldn't be taken seriously. Anything that says MSNBC and The Nation, I mean, that's a double whammy of stupidity right there. Just disregard what they're saying in terms of it being any sort of factual thing. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to point this out because, again, it's MSNBC, and I do not like them. And also, this dude is just dumb. Okay, he's a typical leftist. He's stupid. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.